see some familiar faces and I see some new faces. So welcome for all of you. And I also see in the chat we had a session about, is this session focused on citizen developers? The session is focused on citizen developers. You will as well see me build the robot with UiPath StudioX. And I think that's a tool that most of you have been working with. If you have been using UiPath Studio in the past, or that's your favorite tool, you can also follow this session. And you can do the same exercise as well with Studio. There will be very small differences, but not that many. Let me share my screen. So what we have planned for today for you, so we had the introduction already, the first 10 minutes. We're going to build our own robot, and the feedback that I get very often while providing trainings is, hey, this is all very theoretical. You show us how to use Excel, how to use Outlook, and how to use, for example, desktop and web automation. But how can we put this in practice? And what we're going to do today, I'm not going to share 100 slides. I'm going to build a robot, and I'm inviting you to build this robot together with me with UiPath StudioX. In 1 hour, you will have a working robot, and the bot that we are going to create today is a robot that is going to add purchase orders. So it's going to create purchase orders in a web system. Then we are planning in 1 hour, we will have a Q&A. You can ask questions. We will try to answer them as good as possible. And we have a Mentimeter where we have some questions. And I think, Christina, if I'm correct, you can also win something.
You can win a UiPath swag prize. So UiPath swag voucher, and then you can go on our brand store and get yourself some nice UiPath stuff. Yeah.
Okay, really cool. We have a few questions that are not that difficult. We are not with too many, so I think you all have a pretty good chance to win some UiPath swag. Let me just show the bot that we are gonna build today. If I haven't showed you yet, this is my YouTube channel. It's called Tom's Tech Academy. There are also many videos. So there are many different videos. The orange ones are the ones about UiPath StudioX. And you can use these videos to train more together with, of course, the UiPath Academy. I'm going to go to a website, and I'm going to ask you to do the same. And the website is rpa-unlimited.com. So if Christina or Sylvain, if you can put it in the chat, this is the website. And this is a website that I use to host some sample applications, because of course we cannot expect everyone to have, for example, Ariba or SAP. And that's why we are going to use this web application so everyone has access to the same application and everyone can build the same robot. If you're on this website, let me know in the chat. And if you're there, you can use any browser. I always advise to use Google Chrome if you have it installed on your system, but if you have Edge or Safari or any other browser, you can use all of them. Then when you're on the website rpa-unlimited.com, I'm going to scroll to below and see here YouTube. Navigate to the YouTube example applications and course material. See here the button, the red button. Click on this button, and then you will go to the sample applications. The application that we're going to use in this tutorial is entirely at the bottom. It's this one. It's UiPath StudioX Add Purchase Orders. If you click here on Open Course Material, you will see the application that we are going to use today. And we're going to build a bot to add purchase orders to this system. Christina, Sylvain, I cannot see the chat, but guys, please let me know if I have to slow down or maybe speed up, and I will give you some time.
We placed the RPA Unlimited site in the chat. Guys, you can let us know whether you managed to access the site and you see what Thomas is presenting, where you found the entire content, so you're on the right page. Let us know in chat.
Okay, then I'm going to ask as well if all of you have installed UiPath StudioX or UiPath Community on your system. If you are using UiPath Studio, you can there is a button to switch between UiPath Studio and StudioX, or as I said earlier, you can use UiPath Studio. Is there anyone here that has not installed UiPath yet? I think it's good to assume that that's the case.
It's good to ask, Thomas, but for those who have not yet installed StudioX, they will be able to do so and then do the exercise after the recording, because we already covered installation in the first and second training sessions. So in the intro to RP also with Priya, and last week also with Nidhi.
Okay.
So StudioX should be installed by now. If not, I will give you guys again in chat now the community cloud link for you to download Studio. But let us know in chat anyway. Those of you who managed to install it, those who didn't, let us know your progress in chat, like what you did.
Yeah, you can as well use this video, UiPath Studio/StudioX installation guide. I will also share the link in the chat for those who haven't installed it yet. Okay, let's go back to the application. So the application that you see here, I think it's familiar to for people that have already used, for example, Ariba in the past, where you can create a purchase order. As you might see, it's a simplified application. So we're not going to go to 5 or 10 screens to create a purchase order. But the cool thing is, if you can create a purchase order in this system, it's also you will also understand how to create it in other systems. Okay, so if you all have this this page in front of you, let's just try to create a purchase order. And we can do so by filling in the fields here. So the purchase order name, let's, for example, say that we want to create a purchase order for products, let's say financial services. The PO creator, that's me. So I'm just going to put my name here. And the amount is, let's say that this financial services are worth €1,000. And then you also have to select the vendor. You see that there are a few vendors here in the system. We have IT Unlimited, we have the Office Club, Janssen Consulting BV, and many more companies. So let's go for Janssen. And then the date requested. So I'm going to put this date in the American date format, but you can use any formats that you want. So I'm going to say that this PO has been requested today on the, sorry. So I'm going to say that the PO was requested today on the 21st of March. Then you as well see a checkbox here. CFO approval required. And the rule at this company is that any purchase order that has been created or that is being created above €50,000 needs approval from the CFO. So as you can see, the amount of this purchase order is €1,000. So we don't need CFO approval. But if we need it, we could check this box. So let's not check it for now. And then I'm going to click on Add Purchase Order. You will see in this in the system that now the purchase order has been added. The name is Financial Services. I'm the creator. See the amount, the vendor, the date requested in American format, and you also see that CFO approval is not required. Let's take a few minutes for everyone. I hope everyone by now has this application in front of you. If that's the case, please create a purchase order, because what works very well if you build a robot is that, of course, that you already know the application pretty well. So let's just take some time to add another purchase order, and please also follow with me. So let's now buy pencils for our company. Let's say that I'm as well the creator. And let's say that these pencils are, let's say that they are €100. A good vendor for pencils, let's say the Office Club, and the date requested is as well today. Okay, I want to do a PO where CFO approval is required. So let's make this one €51,000. Let's hit the checkbox, and then let's add the purchase order. So you see now we have the same information, but you see here CFO approval required, yes. Okay, so this was some introduction. Of course, we're not here to do this by hand. We're here to build a robot to automate this piece of work. I hope everyone is following me. Please let me know if you're not on the screen and if you have not created your first purchase order yet. And otherwise, I'm going to assume that we can continue.
It sounds good in the chat, Thomas. I think you can continue.
Okay, very fast group today, Sylvain. So what you can do, and you can use this application at any time. So if you want to demonstrate a robot to your boss, or maybe to a friend, you can always build a bot on this application. The cool thing is you can as well reset it. So I'm now going to click on remove all purchase orders. I see that all purchase orders are now removed, and we can start from the scratch again. Okay, so let's open UiPath. I have UiPath here. The first thing is really important is that you are using UiPath StudioX. Again, you can as well follow me with UiPath Studio, but it's going to look a bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Tools, then I'm going to go, sorry, I'm going to go to Settings, and I'm going to go to License and Profile, and here you can switch between UiPath Studio and UiPath StudioX. If you'll see in color that I see here, which is blue, but it's also a bit green, then you're in UiPath StudioX. If you see an application which is more blue than blue-green, then you're in UiPath Studio. This is how to change it. I'm going to click on UiPath StudioX, and then you will see that I land in this application. Also make sure that your plugin is installed for your browser. Go to Tools, and then UiPath Extensions. And then you will see here that we have plugins for Chrome, for Edge, for Firefox, for those 3 browsers. So any browser you're using, click here. You see, for me it's install. For me it's uninstall. But if it says install here with the blue button, then you still have to install it. Make sure that you do that, because otherwise you cannot follow me in this tutorial. So if you're using Chrome, install the Chrome plugin. If you're using Edge, install the Edge plugin. Please let me know in the chat if you're not following or you need some time to install the plugin. Otherwise, we're going to continue.
So at least one person is installing the plugin.
Okay, we'll give him some time.
Yeah, maybe also one recommendation from my side. I like to have the UiPath in English. So if you go to settings, you can also change the language. I mean, the reason to have the UiPath in English is because all of the documentation that you're going to find online, including the posts in the UiPath forum, are in English. So I would definitely recommend you to use it in English and not in your local language, where it's going to be sometimes more difficult to translate some name of the activities.
So I'm showing how to, I'm showing, sorry.
No, I said it was a very good point, Sylvain, and we already have a thread on forum dedicated to this group, to the StudioX group. I'm going to share the link again now for support. So all of you guys, in case some of you missed it in the last session, all of you will have it. Yes?
Sounds good.
Okay.
So I think we are good to continue, Thomas.
Okay. So then I'm going to ask you all to go to Start, and we're going to create a new process here. If you were in the last session, you already know how to create a new process, how to create a new robot. Go to New, and then click here on Blank Task. Then we are requested to give our bot a name. You see that I already have a PO creation bot here. So let's call this one Purchase Order Creation Bot. Of course, you can give your bot any name you want. We also have people that name it Ernie or Donald, or it's totally up to you. If you have put the name, you can click on Create, and then UiPath is going to take some time to create a project.
Yeah, we always recommend you to give a name that can be easily understood, first by yourself. If you build multiple bots, at some point you will need to know which bot you're going to open. And also, you know that if you build automation, you also have the possibility to share the automation with some colleagues. So here you're building a bot to process POs, but if you're not the only one doing that, you can build a bot and then share it to someone else. And if that's the case, of course, giving a name that is very clear and easy to understand would be important if you want to share it.
Really cool. Then if you go to projects, so once you have created your project, and please put in the chat if you need a bit more time, and we will just pause for you. For the rest, click on projects, and then you see here open project folder, and we're going to click on that button, and that way we're gonna move to the directory in Windows where this project has been saved. So I'm going to click here. I will see that I go to a directory that is called C users Thomas/documents/UiPath, and then here you see as well the name of your robot. Now I always advise to put any files you work with in this directory. And I'm going to show you the first file that we are going to work with. So if you go to the website that we are using, this one, and I hope everyone has it on the screen now, we're going to click here on download the Excel file for this assignment. Please also do that so that you get the Excel file, because this Excel file is really useful in this assignment. Once you have downloaded it, I'm going to click here on this icon, and I'm going to click on show in folder. I go to my downloads folder, and I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to click copy. Then I'm going to navigate to the folder in UiPath. So the folder where the bot is stored. Click project, open project folder, and then I'm going to paste it here like this. You also see that there is always the project notebook in this folder. That's well, it is what it says. It's a notebook where you can add some things, or you can as well let the bot make some calculations. In this tutorial, we are not using it, but there are all other tutorials where we are using it. So is there anyone that needs more time in order to put the Excel file in the folder?
Yeah, don't hesitate to let us know if you are going too fast in the chat. I haven't seen any message on that regard so far, but don't hesitate to tell us if you need more time. But it seems that it's going fine. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to assume now that everyone has this file, purchase orders, in the folder where the UiPath bot is stored. If you click here on UiPath, you see all the other bots that I've created. You see, Sylvain, I'm not always following the naming conventions, but I definitely have some bots created. Okay, let's make a start with the robot. So we have the Excel file in the folder, and we want to work with this web application. So the first thing I'm going to do, if you want to use a web application, you're going to search for use application/browser. And this is not only for a web application, but also for a desktop application. Then you use this resource. So we have activities. Activities, they allow us to do certain things, for example, in Excel or in other applications. A resource is not doing something like clicking on a button or typing, but it is telling UiPath to connect with that specific application. So that's the difference. This is the resource that we're going to use application/browser, and I'm going to add it to my screen by dragging it to the middle. Now, then once you have dragged it to the middle of your screen, I'm going to click on indicate application to automate, and we have to show UiPath which application we want to automate. What is very, very, very important is that you put the application on top, and then you put UiPath over it. And what sometimes people do is they minimize this application, then they go to UiPath, they click indicate, but then you see other applications, right? That's very important that you don't minimize it, but you just put the application on the screen and then you put UiPath over it. Because UiPath always goes in the Windows hierarchy to the level where it is -1. So in the application that is right behind it. Click indicate application to automate, and then we're going to click on the browser. Now two things can happen. Your screen is either going to be orange or it's going to be green. If it's green like me, you can click on it. If it's orange, you still have to activate that browser extension. So you either have to install it via UiPath, or if you have already installed it, and you see the browser extension here, like somewhere here, and then you're going to click here on enable it. If there is anyone that needs more time to enable the application, let us know, and otherwise we're going to continue. Okay, so we have not told UiPath anything what to automate. The only thing that we have told UiPath is in this bot we are going to use this application. And you see that UiPath automatically takes this URL. You can as well change it. can as well put Google here or something, or any other application. For now, I'm going to leave it like this because this is the application that we want to automate. Then the second thing, and again, if you have not downloaded the Excel file yet, please do so. It's right here. It's in the blue bar. Download the Excel file for this assignment. Download it and make sure that it is in the robot folder, this one that is right here. And then I'm going to add a use Excel file. You see as well that use Excel file is also a resource. It's not doing anything, just connecting with Excel. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to drag it in the use application/browser. It's really important that you put it in this use application browser and not under it. Otherwise, your bot is not going to work. So now your bot should look something like this. You have a use browser and you have a use Excel file. Okay, then we're going to click here on the directory icon, this one, browser file, and then we're going to teach UiPath the file that we're going to use. I don't want to use the project notebook. I want to use purchaseorders.xlsx. Click on open. Okay, for those who still need time, I'm going to give you a bit more time because I'm going to show everyone what this Excel file looks like. If you open this Excel file, then this is what you get. So you see here that we have something that we call a header. And this is a header because the first purchase order is not called name with creator, but this is just describing the columns. So you see the header, we have name, we have creator, we have amount, vendor, and date requested. You also see that we have here the names of the purchase orders, the names of the creators, the amount, the vendors, etc. You also see that there is one field that we don't have here, and that is the CFO approval. And that's because based on the amount, because we know that the rule is that we only need CFO approval above 50,000 euro. So if we have the amount, we can calculate whether or not we are going to need CFO approval. And later in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, let's close this Excel file. UiPath doesn't like it if you have the Excel file open, so let's close it. But you now know what the structure looks like. Let's close it. And please close it as well on your own computer. And then we're going to continue with the next activity. You've seen in this Excel file that there are many rows, and the rows, they correspond to the different purchase orders, right? So we want to do a certain action for every purchase order. We want to add every purchase order to this application. So what I'm going to do, and you might have seen that we have 4 or 5 purchase orders. We don't want to program this bot 5 times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a for each Excel row, this one. And with that, we tell UiPath that everything that is in the for each Excel row, UiPath is going to do that for every row. So I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to go back to the Excel file. Okay, so you see that in this file, we have 5 purchase orders, right? Those are the 5 orders. So that means that if I put a message box here in the for each Excel row, we get the message box 5 times. If we have, let's say that we have 10 purchase orders, and we get the message box 10 times. It's that easy. I will also demonstrate that. The second thing that we have to do is we have to click on in range, and we're going to tell UiPath which sheet the robot is going to use. Click on plus, Excel, and then you will see that this Excel sheet is called sheet 1. If you have Excel in a different language, you create a new Excel file, you will also see that it's not sheet 1, but it is sheet 1 in that language. Okay, so for now, it's the same for everyone, right? No matter which Excel language you have, because the Excel file, it's called sheet 1. Then another configuration, which is very important, is that you're going to click on has headers. And that's because this Excel file has headers, right? The first row is where the names of the columns are in bold. And that indicates that this is not data, but this is just telling us the name of this column. If you don't click on has headers, I'm going to show you what's going to happen. I'm going to put a message box in here, but just to demonstrate something to you, so you don't have to follow me. going to put the message box in here. And if you don't click on has headers, you can choose between the columns A, B, C, D, E. The problem that is going to occur, I will show this to you. I'm going to run this robot. You don't have to do anything. Just watch. Because we have not told UiPath that the first row is a header, you will see that the first iteration, UiPath thinks that the name of the purchase order is called name. And then the second one is the real name of the purchase order, procurement of new markers. Those are all names, right? But name is not the name of a purchase order. So two things are going to happen. You can only choose for A, B, C, D, etc. And you get a row that doesn't really exist. So if I'm going to click you on has headers, instead of 6 times, it's going to only run 5 times. And I can choose for the real row names, because we have told UiPath that the first row is indicating the column name. So we can now not only choose for A, B, C, D, E, but we can now choose for the fields name, creator, amount, and vendor. You see that, for example, I can also show the creator. And if I run the robot, then we get the message box for the creator. But we don't see creator now because we have enabled has headers. So those are the creators of the purchase orders. Okay, so very important, if your Excel file has a header, that you enable has header. If it doesn't have a header, please also don't enable it, because then it will skip the first row. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat.
Maybe what we can do, Thomas, is to just recap what we have done so far. And this is going also to answer one of the questions that I see in the chat. So if you scroll up, we started this workflow using a use application browser activity, which tells the UiPath that we are going to work on this website using this Chrome, I think it was, or yeah, Chrome in Thomas, on Thomas' laptop. So we tell the bot we want to go to this website using this browser. After that, we tell the bot we want to work with an Excel. So we are using a use Excel activity. So every time you want to work with something, you need to start with a use something activity that you will find right away on the left side in UiPath. When you do that, then you have the possibility to use the pre-built activities that you're going to find in the subfolders on the left side. So basically what Thomas did is to use the Excel activity to indicate that the bot needs to open the purchase orders Excel. And then in this activity, because when the bot knows that it's going to work with this Excel, you're going to be able to use a loop for each Excel row. And as you can see, the bot is able to retrieve and to understand that we have some headers. So then the bot is going to go in the Excel knowing that we have some headers, and then it's going to search for every row in this Excel. So I hope it answers the question. And maybe Thomas, you can continue from there. I don't know if it's if you're all good so far, or if you need us to go back to one of the previous steps. Just let us know in the chat if you're all good. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. So
okay,
Thomas,
very good.
You can continue.
Thank you, Sylvain. Okay, let's start with the first activity. The first thing, if I go to the application, there are a few things that we want to do. We want to type here, we want to type here, we want to type here. So we want to type something 3 times. Then you see we have a drop down. So there we want to select something. Then we want to type again in the application. So this is the 4th type. And then we want to click here. And then we want to click on add purchase order. So if you're really planning to do more with RPA, I think this is one of the most important steps, to look at the application and define what do I need in order to automate this application. If you want to build something with a hammer and nails, the first thing you make a small design and what are the materials you need, etc. We're going to do the same. So if we go to UiPath, if you want to type something, that is really easy. For that, we're going to use a type into activity, and I'm going to demonstrate that immediately. We want UiPath to do the type into for every row in this Excel file. And if you want to do something for every row, we've already learned that you have to put it in the for each Excel row. So I'm going to put the type into in the for each Excel row. And then UiPath wants to know two things: where it has to type, you can indicate that here, and what it has to type, you can indicate that here. So let us do that together. So let us use the type into, click here on indicate in Chrome, and let's show the robot where it has to type. The first field where you want to type is this one, PO name. You see that you can use large or small. You can select any element, and sometimes you see as well that you can choose for a larger box and a smaller box, right? A general rule is that you always take the smallest box that you can take. So don't take this one, for example. Take this one. Click here, and UiPath will automatically create the selector. The green field is the selector, and the blue field is the answer. UiPath will define the selector based on its internal rules. And if it cannot find the selector because the fields are all the same, then it will use the answer to identify the right field where to type. I'm going to give you all some time to do this together with me. And for those who we weren't able to see it correctly, I'm also going to do it again. So just do it on your own pace, right? So I'm going to click confirm. That way you show the robot that you have indicated the right selector. Okay, so for those of you who were not able to see it, I'm going to show it again. So select the type into, put it in the for each Excel row, and then click on indicate in Chrome. If you're using Edge or any other browser, it's going to say Edge. Click there, and then click on the first field. So not this one, but this one. If you need more time, if you need any help, let us know. We are with a small group and we are happy to help you. Okay. Secondly, we're also going to tell the robot what it needs to type. What it needs to type, that's where it asks us type this. So the robot wants to know what we want to type. You can click here on the plus symbol, and you can type anything. You can put here in the text what the robot needs to type. But if you are using the for each Excel row, you don't want the robot to type, for example, Thomas 5 times. You want the robot to type the column in that Excel row. And because we are using this Excel file and this for each Excel row, so if I say here, if I select here current row name, and the first time the robot is going to type professional services March. The second line, it's going to say procurement of new markers, the third one. So the robot is going to go through this Excel file line by line, and then it's going to provide the column for that specific line. Right, so if we select current row creator, the robot is going to start with Charles Lewis, then William Smith, etc. And if we select amount, the robot is going to do the same. Okay. So what we are going to do is we're going to click here on type this current row, and then you're going to type the name, right? Because the name, that is what is needed in this field. There is always someone in my class that says, I don't see current row. And if that's the case for you, you have not used the for each Excel file, or you have not defined the range, which should be sheet 1, or you have not clicked on has headers. Okay, if you have done that, you should see it.
Or maybe you're not in the use application browser scope as well. So if Thomas scrolls up, now you understand why he put the use Excel activity within the use browser Chrome activity. Because when we go to the type into activity, we need two things. We need to be in the Excel where we are getting the row from, and we also need to go to this website. So that's why we are in those two use something scope. And I insist on that because as Thomas knows, we usually have some questions at this point, and now you understand the logic of UiPath. When you are working in two different environments, you need to have one environment inside the other one to make it work. So we have a question from Nivita. Nivita doesn't see the standard and secure option in front of type this under typing 2. If you don't have exactly the same layout as Thomas, I would say it's probably because you're not on StudioX, maybe on Studio, or you're using maybe not the most recent UiPath release.
And she didn't see standard or secure?
The standard and the secure option. Just you see you have the two standard and secure above type this.
This one, yeah, indeed, it can be the version. For now, it's not important, I would say. I would assume that your version then just takes the standard.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, for the rest, as you see, we have 3 fields where we want to type something. We want to type the name, the creator, and the amount. So for those, you can all do the same, right? You can do it individually yourself, or you can watch at my screen. But the process will be the same for every type into. So for the second field, we want to type in the PO creator. So I'm going to indicate in Chrome, and now it's important that instead of the first field, you're going to click on the second field here. I'm going to click here. UiPath will select the target and the answer, and UiPath, sorry, not UiPath, but you then have to click on confirm. Again, UiPath wants to know what it needs to type, and because we are typing here the creator name, we're going to click on current row creator. You see that in this case, the fields match quite good, right? In Excel, it's PO creator. Sorry, in Excel, it's creator, and in the application, it's PO creator. But of course, they can also have different names. These things are referring to the Excel file. So I'm going to click on creator. Again, I'm going to ask you all to let us know if you need a bit more time. And otherwise, I'm just going to do the same thing for the third field.
Yeah, someone is not having the current row. I don't know if you can just copy the workflow as an image and put it in the chat. If it's
I'm going to try that.
That may help, I guess. So you will see all of the, all the entire workflow. So you can refer, thanks, yeah, it works. So you can refer to the document that Thomas has uploaded. It's just the entire workflow. So you need to check that you have exactly the same. If you don't have the same, probably you're going to get an error or something not working. So I hope it's going to help you, Diana.
Okay, so for the third one, the process is also the same. We're going to click, we're going to show you a bit where to type. We already have PO name and PO creator. So we now want to go to the third field, which is the amount. Go to UiPath, click indicate in Chrome, and then click here on amount. You'll say that UiPath will create a selector, and I'm going to click on confirm. For type this, it should be current row amount. And again, if you don't see current row, please look at the image that I just put in the chat and make sure that your flow looks the same. Okay, then in the fourth field, you see that we cannot use the type into because we are not typing, because we want to select a field. So if you want to select an option, we have a different activity. So I'm going to ask everyone to watch carefully now. Even if you're still working on your previous activities, because this is something that you should not miss. The activity that I'm going to use is this one, select item. And select items supports us to let the robot select an item of a drop-down list in either a web application or a desktop application. I'm going to take select item. I'm going to put it here below the 3 type intos that I already have. 1, 2, 3. And then select item. The select item works partially the same because it wants to know where it needs to select an item. And in order to show that to UiPath, I'm going to click here on indicating Chrome. And I'm going to click here on the field vendor. So just click here where you currently see the dash. And UiPath will then create this selector. This selector is something that Sylvain and me will refer to several times. The selector is basically how UiPath finds this element. And if you know something about HTML, UiPath is using the HTML, but it also uses different methods like image recognition. So in case even the HTML changes, UiPath will use image recognition to identify the field or other methods. If you don't know what HTML is, don't worry, I won't use it anymore. So click confirm if you've selected the drop-down. Again, let us know if you are not following along, because we are with a small group, we want everyone to follow along. And now UiPath wants to know what we want it to select. You can click here on the drop-down, and UiPath has now also basically copied the drop-down to UiPath. But if I'm going to click here on IT Unlimited, it's a bit stupid, because then every time the robot is going to select IT Unlimited. So I'm going to click on plus. I'm going to click on clear value, because also here we want to use current row vendor. Right, this is the field that we want. For the select, for the type into, it doesn't matter, right? Because for the type into, you can let the bot type anything you want. For the select, if you want to use a select item, you really have to make sure that the value is 100% the same here and in the web application. And in my application, that is the case. So you see, for example, here, IT Unlimited, you see the Office Club, CFO Services Unlimited, etc. But for example, if there is in Janssen Consulting, if there is in the Excel, there are no dots, and in the application there is 2 dots between the B and the V, for example, or there is a dot after LTD limited, then the robot doesn't know which item to select, right? So they have to be 100% the same. And for this application, they are 100% the same, right? You can trust me on that. So let's go back to UiPath, and we have already selected current row vendor, right? Because that is the field that we want the robot to select. Let's go back to the application. Okay, then there is only one field. For this field, we are still on time, so I'm gonna make it a bit more difficult. You see in the Excel file, I think this is all what you also have learned in the first session, right? And I think in this, now we are gonna we're gonna learn some new things. So from now on, it's gonna be a bit more difficult, but not a lot. You see here that we have date requested. We have the 19th of March, the 22nd of March, etc. And this logic is a bit weird, but this company is just a rule that they have. They always want all the purchase orders to be created on the first date of the month of date requested. So if you see here the 19th of March, it should be the 1st of March. The 22nd of March should be the 1st. So everything that is created in March should be the 1st of March. And I'm going to show you how to do this. So the first thing that I'm going to add is an activity that's called modify date. And with this activity, we can basically let the robot calculate with dates. The date that we are going to modify is, click here on plus, current row, date requested. And then we're going to add a modification. The modification that we are going to add is first start / end of week, month, year. You can use this method in order to find the first day of the year, for example, or the first day of the month, or the first day of the week. UiPath will then take the day that you currently have. So for example, let's say it's the 21st of March, and it will then either take the first day of the month or the first day of the week in which this date falls. So make sure to add the modified date, select date to modify date requested, and then find first day of month. That's all you have to do. Then we're going to create a variable, and variables you can use them if you want to store information within your robot. So let's say that you get information from one part of your robot and you want to bring it to another part. For that, we're going to use variables. So I'm going to click here on plus, create variable, and now you can give your variable a name. I'm going to pause here just to see if everyone is still following me.
You can continue. I'm just going to respond in the meantime to some people in the chat.
Okay.
So, you can continue.
Again, let us know if we're going too fast. We've done this thousands of times, so we cannot expect you to follow in the same page, right? So let us know. Now you can give your variable a name. The name that you give to your variable is not important, as long as you use the same name everywhere in your flow. So let's call this variable first day of month.
So we have a couple of people that do not have the modify date option available.
Okay, for those people, okay, let's do the following.
Just do it again, maybe on the modify date. Some people also would like you to explain it one more time.
Okay, sure.
So let's do it again. Yeah.
If you don't have the modified date activity, I'm going to show you in a minute what you have to do. In that case, you don't have to use it, and for you, we're going to build the bot a bit different. If you have the modified date, with the modified date, you can do certain actions. I can remove, for example, this modification. I can click here on the dots and click on delete, and I can add a modification. What I can, for example, as well do, I can add or subtract a time period. So let's say that I want to add value. I can also say that I want to add 30 days to this current date, and then UiPath will calculate the date in 30 days. You can as well say that you don't want to add 30 days, but we want to add maybe 30 years. And UiPath will calculate which date it is in the date that you got from the Excel file plus 30 years, and it is very, very accurate. So I think we use these activities quite a lot, especially within financial accounting. When you run the bot, for example, let's say that you always run a bot on the 5th of the date, but you want to run the bot. You want to get the date of, for example, the last day of the last month. So then what you can do is you can subtract 5 days. And then you can as well add another modification to find the next or the previous day of the week or month. And then you're going to say, sorry, I'm going wrong. You want to find the start or end of a week or a month or year. And then you want to take the last day of the month, for example. So in this case, if you run it on the 5th, I'm going to subtract, let's say 8 days. So it always now is in the previous month, and then you take the last day of that month. So if you run this bot on the 5th, you take today's date, it goes back 8 days, it takes the last date of that month, and then it basically will tell you that the last date was the 28th of February. You can find way more information about this modified date on the UiPath Academy on my YouTube channel, if you want to learn more about it. For now, I'm going to show what we are going to do right now. So again, we're going to add a modification, and we're going to find the start end of week, and we want to take the first day of the current month. Then I'm going to ask you as well to click here on create variable, and then provide the name of the variable that you want to create. So first day of month, click OK. Sylvain, are you getting more question, or is everyone able to follow it?
No, I mean, I have some questions in the chat. It seems that some people like Joel is using old version of UiPath, especially the one from 2021. And I don't remember what was the name of the modified date at that time, or if it was existing either. I don't know.
Yes. And so for the people that cannot find this activity, what you can do is I'm going to go to the next step, and in the next step, I'm going to show what you can do if you don't find this activity modified date. Okay. If you still need help on this step, please put it in the chat and I will come back on it. In the next step, so we want to add the date requested. So I'm going to add another type into. And then again, we have to tell UiPath where it needs to type. Click indicate in Chrome. And we are going to tell UiPath that we want to type here. Okay, now there are two scenarios. If you don't have the modified date activity, or you find it really difficult what I've just shown, you're going to click on type this, and you're just going to type today's date. Sorry, you're just going to type the date that is in the Excel sheet, which is date requested. Okay. So again, if you don't have the date modified, you find it very difficult, or you didn't follow the last step, then just use date requested. Just add a type into and put here date requested. Then we don't do the modification, and that will basically mean that you just put in the date that is in the Excel file. Okay, for everyone who has already put the modified date in the UiPath bot and that has been able to follow with us, we are going to use the variable that you have just created here. And so the variable is what you see here and save result as. So you guys are going to click on type into, click on the plus symbol, use variable, first day of month, and then first day of month as text. If you see anything different here after use variable, just select what you see. It will be good.
So for those who are using the old UiPath, it's not going to be called use variable. It's going to be called use for save for later use, something like that, I guess. So just try to find the equivalent of it.
So after we've clicked, identified this one, click here. And then we are almost done with a robot. I'm going to continue with the next step unless there is anyone that needs more time.
And I would say if it's not working with the date, if you don't find the modified date activity, or if it's a bit too difficult to follow, I mean, you can just remove the activity and you will be able to test the bot without it anyway.
Yes. Or use here current row date requested.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to continue with the next one. So in the next activity, and this is really the end of this robot, so I hope everyone is still with me. Everyone is still fun, because that's the most important. So what do we want? We only want to click here if we have a purchase order with a value above 50,000 euro. And there is only one such purchase order in this Excel sheet. So with UiPath, you can as well make a smarter bot and let the bot make decisions. For that, we're going to use the if activity, and that's this one. So take the if activity, drag it to below the type into date requested. And then we're going to check whether the value of the purchase order is more than 50,000 euro. Again, I have to say here as well that there are different options, because UiPath has changed this, this logic a bit in the previous versions. For you, there can be two scenarios. If you see here the two brackets that you see on my screen, you can click on them. If you don't see them, click on the plus, and then you can see here condition builder. So in the older version, again, in the older version, you have to click on the plus and then on condition builder. You don't see it on my screen because I have the newer version. If you have the newer version and you see the brackets, please click on the brackets and we'll get into this screen. If you're in this screen, you're at the right place.
Yeah, so this is really tricky because you need to click on these brackets and not on the plus icon to open the condition builder in the last release. If you're using an older release from UiPath, then you need to find to open the condition builder. So again, it may be a little bit different, but you should be ending with the screen that you see on Thomas' screen. Just let us know in the chat if you're if you're all good, or if you need us to go back to some previous steps. Okay, I'll go.
Is there anyone? Sorry.
No, I just reading out. Okay, seems to be good.
Okay, if there is anyone that does not see the condition builder, please raise your hand right now, because otherwise we will continue. Okay, so in the condition builder, you can put a condition that you want to be true in order to do a certain action. So we're going to define this condition, and as I already mentioned, we only need CFO approval for purchase orders above 50,000 euro. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to create a condition. I'm going to say if current row amount, so the current row amount is the first field, is greater than, you can as well change another value here, for example, greater than or equal or less than. For now, it's not greater than or equal, it's greater than, because only for purchase orders above 50,000 euro, you need CFO approval. So just keep greater than, and click on plus. And then it's very important that you put here a number. And that number, you already know it's 50,000. So you only need to click on this checkbox if the amount of the purchase order is more than 50,000 euro. So by now, you should all have something like this. If there is anyone that needs more time or that sees something different, let us know and we will pause there. Do you get any questions, Sylvain? Okay.
You can continue. Yeah.
Seems very good. Okay, and then we're going to click on save. Now, again, there are different versions of UiPath. It can be that you see the field that we're going to use is the then field. It can be that you see it. It can be that you see an else or that you do not see an else, or it can be that you see buttons here. But it's really important that the next activity you put in the then. So check where you see then in your if activity. We can do two things. We can add a click activity. This is the click activity to click on the thing, but that's really difficult, or that's a bit, we want to avoid it, because if I click here one time, it's checked. If I click here two times, it's unchecked. So it's really easy for the robot to make a mistake. So the activity that you want to use if you see a checkbox is the check/uncheck. That's a bit more safe, because there you do not click one time, but you tell the robot what you want to be the outcome of this activity. So I want the action to be check. You can as well put uncheck or toggle. For now, I want it to be check. And then I'm going to click here on indicating Chrome. I'm going to click exactly here on this very tiny checkbox. So don't click here. Don't click here. You have to click here. So take the really tiny click on the checkbox. Until it's green, click confirm. And I'm just going to pause there to check if everyone has been able to follow me.
So is it okay for everyone? Someone says that it's working, so I think it's a good sign.
Very good, very good. You're doing a hell of a job, and I think we are really at the end of this robot, because there is only one activity that is still left, and that's to click on the button Add Purchase Order.
And it's already a lot of things that you're learning in this session, because we are using a loop to go through all of the rows in Excel. We are using a condition with the if activity, so that you have two different outcomes from the condition, which is to check the amount. And you also had, I think, a first experience with manipulating dates. And dates is always something very difficult when you work in computer science. So Thomas showed you an easy way to manipulate dates. And this is something that you may see if you work in a finance department. Very often you need to extract some data from the first day of the month and the last day of the previous month. And then it can be difficult to find the last date of the previous month. But UiPath makes it easy with this modified date activity that Thomas showed you. I guess everyone is fine, so you can continue, Thomas.
Awesome. So then you are ready for the last step, and that's we want to click on the button, and for that it's really easy. We are going to use the click activity. So in your search box, search for click, and this is the one that you need to click. So don't go for those, the first one. And it's really important that you don't put it in the else, or not in the if, but that you put it below the if activity. You see that the if activity has a gray line. You see that here? In the newer version of UiPath, in the older is a bit more difficult. So just put it right below the if activity. And then click and indicate in Chrome. And then we're going to show you UiPath on which button to click. And that's, of course, at purchase order. Click on confirm. You see, sometimes UiPath can use an answer. Sometimes it identifies it itself. Now it does not. In this case, you don't need to use an answer. So I'm just going to click on confirm. And that should be good. And this is the entire bot that that we want to build today. And I think it was really successful. But sometimes I'm a bit too fast. What you can do is you can close the browser if you want. I'm not going to close it. But you can close it. UiPath will open it automatically. And then you can run your robot by clicking on the run button here. It's the green. I'm not sure if my bar is in front of it, but it's the green play button. So you can click on it to run your robot.
So this is what you should also be able to see on your screen. I mean, maybe if you have started your bot, you cannot see the Zoom screen anymore, and you know that if you move the mouse, the bot can be unhappy with it. But it seems to be working from Yuel. So good job, Yuel.
Yeah, just, this is normally when we get questions.
Yeah, just let us know in the chat if it's working, and also if it's not working, because if it's working, there is nothing we can help you with. But if it's not working, we are here to support you. So just let us know in the chat if it's working or if there is something unexpected that occurs.
Yeah, so this is normally the moment that we get questions, because as you see with my robot, you see that the UiPath bot has skipped one field. And sometimes this happens when the robot both scrolls at the same time. So you never see this in this exercise for the first row, because the first row there is not a lot of information in this table. But for the second and the third, the robot starts typing, and sometimes it scrolls at the same time. So it scrolls and it types, and that's why it fails to type. And of course, we are not here to tell you this is the problem. We're also here to give you a solution. So what I'm going to do, and I just want to know, just put in the chat if you have the same, if the robot that you run has also skipped some fields, or maybe your robot did not. I'm going to click here on remove all purchase orders. You can do the same, just to make sure that we see the difference between the different runs. Then if you go back to UiPath, we're going to show you a trick how to make your robot both faster and also more accurate. So for that, it's really important that you scroll to the top of the robot and you click on the use browser application. So this activity, the first one, and then you should click on properties. Now it can be that you see properties here. It can also be that you see it at the bottom of the sheets. Click on properties. And if you want to create a robot that is both more faster and also more reliable, you see on the right side the input mode, and I'm going to change that from hardware events to simulate. With hardware events, UiPath goes through the entire system of the computer, just like a human. With simulates, it takes technically a different path, and that makes it both faster and also more stable. So I'm going to click on simulate. What happens if you click on simulate is that you get a few exclamation signs. but you can still run your robot. It's not a problem. And then I'm going to run my robot again, and you can do the same. So click on Use Browser Application, go to Properties by clicking on Properties, and then change input type from hardware events to simulate. And that solves this issue. And did you get any responses, Sylvain? I'm not sure if people have the same problem or.
Yeah, so some people had exactly the same problem. So probably they're going to try with simulate. And maybe you can explain us what's the difference between the two.
Yes, I don't want to go technically too deep, but with hardware events, the robot goes to the BIOS of the computer, the basic input-output system. So for the robot, it's just like someone is really typing on the keyboard. With simulate, UiPath is not pretending to click on the keys of the keyboard, but it's basically using a backdoor to insert the data. I think that's the most non-technical explanation. So it's a different method. So let's click on run and let's see if the issue has now been solved. And the robot should as well become also more faster. It can as well that you don't see the robot type now, because another application is in front of it. And one of the other advantages of this method is that UiPath, the application should not be on the screen physically. In my case, you see the robot still typing, you see it also scrolling. But if I go to the data, you should see that the data has now been entered 100% correctly. You see as well that I have all the date requested. I have them all on the 1st of March. So that's for the people who were able to use the date modifier. People who were not able to use the date modifier, they should see the date that was in the Excel file, which is also good. This is the end of our build your second robot session with me and Sylvain. I hope everyone has a working robot. If you do not have a working robot, please let us know. We are still here to help you.
Yeah, it seems that you did a great job, Thomas, because I see a lot of messages saying that the bot is working. So it was not a very basic automation. So it seems that you did a great job and people are really excited to see the bot working.
Yeah,
okay, that's really cool.
Definitely, Thomas. It's a great explanation. I see Deborah wanted you to go over again how to fix the change you made from event like hard drive and to simulate. Can you show that just really quick once again? Because I think the most important is where they find the properties on screen, then the sequence is.
So the first thing that's important is that you have to click not on one of the other activities on the Excels, but you have to click on the use browser Chrome. So the most top activity in the hierarchy, this one. Then you click here on properties. Again, it can be that you see properties here at the bottom in an older version. Click on properties, and then you should here see input mode, which should be switched from hardware events to simulate. And I would really recommend to do that with every robot that is using Chrome or web application. For desktop applications, hardware events is normally more reliable. So click on simulate and it should be fixed. I will also put a screenshot here in the chat.
Okay, do we have some other questions? So Nali, we don't share the recording directly on email. You receive an email from the event. So you will, if you are registered to the event with that email address, you will receive the link to recording. And you should have also received the last one. If not, I will give you again the program link and you can go again on the program link and you go on the event link and you will find the recordings there, yes? So this is the program link. You have the events listed. This is the full program description here. And you just go and click the event there. Let us see a bit how this works. So in case you did not receive the email after the event with the link to recordings and to the deck, you go again onto this program link and you go to the event. So for example, This was the last event for which the recording was uploaded. You click on the event, and if you can see here, if you go downwards, you see the deck, and you should also see the recording. We'll double check. Here is the recording. Okay, so everything is here. I think we should hold the Menti. We forgot about the Menti, Thomas. Hold the Menti.
I didn't forget.
Then go a bit into Q&A after the Menti, yes? But maybe start with Menti first.
Yes,
Okay.
so again, if you want to learn more about UiPath, go to my YouTube channel, Tom's Tech Academy. And then you see all the orange videos. They are all about UiPath StudioX. So you see that there are a lot of them where you can learn everything about StudioX. Then I think we promised some swag in the beginning, right, Christina?
Yeah. So everyone, if you want to join the Menti quiz, which will start now, you can either easy scan the QR code you have on screen and you will enter directly in the quiz room with this QR code. If not, you go to www.menti.com. I'm just writing it in chat now for you. And you have the code to enter the quiz room also in the chat now. It's 1102201. So it's easier to go for mobile. Just go to www.menti.com, enter this code, and you will be in the quiz room. And let me just prepare the quiz, and then we will switch share. Okay. And now let's just see a bit. I will share screen. Let's see how many of you gathered in the quiz room. And then we will start the quiz. So we have 32 in the session now. We should get at least 25, let's say 22, 25 maybe in the quiz room. We have 17. Come on, guys, you have in the chat, just go to www.menti.com and copy paste the code we gave you. And remember, it's easier to join from mobile, I think. Just take out your smartphones and type that into the browser window. Okay, we have 18, nobody? Or are there people still trying to join and having difficulties? You can tell us in the chat, so we wait a bit longer.
We can also help with the Menti.
I will also show Christina what they can win.
Yeah.
So you can win a voucher for this store where you can then buy all UiPath things. You can buy clothes. There are socks, and there are as well.
The socks are really popular.
Yes,
the socks are one of the most popular items in the store. Yeah, but of course the plush toys as well. But the t-shirts, I advise everyone to have a UiPath t-shirt. You never know when you need it.
Yeah, definitely basic. Okay. Let's go back to the Mentimeter.
Yeah, and now we have 19. Come on, let's get okay, we'll start. So remember, guys, answer fast. Yeah. Which resource do you need in order to connect with Excel? And you have 4 answer options. Use Excel file, use application browser, insert cell, or Excel app. And answer fast to get more points, because Menti also scores how fast you are in answering the questions, not just your answer.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is a really good group, Christina.
Yes, we had a firm quality today. They learned fast, they did the exercise, they followed up, they communicated with us in chat, and also they got the right answer in Menti. So use Excel file, yes, this is the correct answer. And now we will move to the leaderboard to see how are we doing after the first question. But remember, guys, this is not the final leaderboard. So we have one more question to go, and then you'll be able to see the final winner. Diana is leading, and we have a vote goat. That's a pen name, vote goat. It's the alias for Menti, following closely, Diana. We're going to the next question now, so guys, prepare and answer fast. Okay, still 19 in the quiz room. That's good. We didn't lose anyone on the way. And here we go. Which input mode should be avoided when scrolling in a web application? Background, hardware events, simulate, or window messages?
Yeah, and watch out, avoid it, right? So the one that you
Yes.
don't want to use.
Yes, yes, it's an exception question, so it's which one not to. So you choose the one to avoid. Yes, you choose the exception. Yes. This had to do with exactly the last thing that Thomas presented, the change you made in order to make the robot run error-free and faster. And you switched from hardware events to simulate. So yes, hardware events is the one to avoid. Okay, let's see the leaderboard, and this is the final leaderboard, which will give us the Menti winner. Let's see if Diana managed to maintain the pole position or not. Deborah Donovan. Congrats, Deborah Donovan. Very nice name. Please DM me your email address, Deborah, in a private message on Zoom, not in the whole chat, unless you want the whole group to get your email address. And I will email you the winner's voucher for today's session. Thank you very much. Thank you for participating in the Menti. I hope you all had fun today. And now we can go into a bit of Q&A. We have 6 more minutes. And we still have Thomas and Sylvain here. And remember, we will also have an office hours session on Friday, in which Sylvain will be there for you to troubleshoot any problems you have from the academy exercises, from today's exercises. So I will place in the link to that session now. And remember, that's a session only for you with the trainer to fix, troubleshoot any problems you have. And now let's see who wants to ask questions towards Thomas or Sylvain following the session today. And please feel free to unmute and ask.
Hello. Yeah, thank you, Christina and Thomas, all team. So I have one question. If we are having Excel in our system or in cloud, so how to deal with it?
Yes, so UiPath is using the default Excel in your system, so on your Windows computer. It's not, if you only have a file which is available in clouds. I think with StudioX you cannot connect with it, but you can have a file that is synchronized via to the cloud, for example, with OneDrive. But we always connect with the physical Excel file on the machine itself.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I've got a question, if that's okay. It's quite a basic one, but when you're building your robot, does it save automatically, or do you have to save it yourself as you go along in StudioX?
That is a really good question. Let me see. Yeah, you can save it with the save button. Do you know the answer, Sylvain? Does it save automatically?
No, I think for me, you need to click on the save icon. If I'm not wrong, I think, yeah, you need to click on save, and it's not like some of the softwares now where it saves it automatically. So you don't lose like your Word document if you don't save it, as it occurred to me in the past. What you can also do, if you're working in a company, if you have the orchestrator, is to publish the automation in addition to saving the project. When you publish it, you send it to the cloud platform. So it's going to be stored there. When you save it, it's going to be on your laptop. So if something happens to your laptop, you're going to lose your automation. So it's also good practice to publish it to the platform when you have access to the platform.
Okay, that's really good to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, for that question. It was a good question. I didn't even know that. Anyone else? Come on, guys, we have them here for 3 more minutes. Let's make the most of it. And I also placed the office hours link in the chat. So just register to the office hours session if you want a last chance to go through the problems with the exercises. That will be totally interactive. You can just present what problems you have and troubleshoot them with Sylvain on Friday. We have a question from Andrea in the chat. Should it be useful to use also maximize window?
Yeah, that's a good question. So UiPath does not use the position of a field in the window to find the field. It uses the properties of the field. So even if the screen sometimes is smaller or sometimes it's larger, UiPath should still work. But from experience, I can tell you that UiPath works the best if you use the same screen or the same application window size all the time. So it is indeed a good practice to use maximize window at the beginning of your run to ensure that the robot is running the application in the maximum, and hence also always the same resolution.
Thank you, Thomas, and thank you, Andrea, for that question. Diana, you were about to ask?
Yes, sorry, I didn't know that Andrea will actually write something. I want to say more a statement than a question because I have loads of questions, and as unfortunately I did not manage to make the robot work, but hey, I'm gonna ask more questions on Friday because I will come. I wanted to say mostly thank you, and it was very nice how you presented the studio, and of course I will try to make it for Friday. Thank you very much, guys. It was really nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Much appreciated.
Very nice feedback, Diana. Thank you. I'm sure the boys really appreciate, since they're here as supporters for the women automation community. This is actually the only men-led session we had in the program, and we're very grateful because we have two very good StudioX trainers also within the men in our community, and they're here to support you. Okay, I think there was one more question. Who wanted to unmute and ask one more? Nobody? So on Friday, you will be able to go troubleshoot like really practical with your exercises or with what you started to work on from Academy, and go through those with Sylvain if you have blockages along the way. Then, of course, being more in the session, you'll be able to learn from each other, and I'm sure many of you will find like the same challenges. So it will be really useful to go within the office hours as well. It will be just 1 hour, but if you can, that is a session totally dedicated to you asking questions and exposing how you're faring in the progress with this program. Thank you all for joining today. Thank you very much, Thomas and Sylvain. And yes, see you on Friday. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you all. I just put a screenshot of the full robot